Hi guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing well today. I'm standing very far away from the phone. I have to just run up a bit closer to you so you can see my ugly mug in all its glory. Thanks very much for watching as always. I'm feeling much better these days, and I wanted to talk to you about something. Everyone's done this video, so mine's not original. John Cedars has done it, Kim and Mike have done it, I don't know if Mark and Cora have done it. Lots of other people have done it, but I couldn't let it slide without saying goodbye. Goodbye, Jehovah's Witnesses, to your old literature. A lot of this, I was amazed. The Jehovah's Witnesses just, new light, our new light. Oh, sorry, it's dark again. Throw it out, throw the old light out. Don't even look at it. And I am amazed at how much they've gotten rid of in this recent tranche, along with their old Bethelites too. I see they're getting rid of them too. But some of the information that the Jehovah's Witnesses are throwing away was so important to me as a kid growing up. Some of it, you know, this is the founding documents of my childhood that they've just decided to chuck in the skip. And do you have skips in America? What do you call them in America? Those big buckets that sit behind lorries that get dropped off to your house and then you fill them up. You tell me what they're called, please. We call them skips, okay? What are some of the books that we're missing? We're missing oh my goodness, oh geez, I'm trying to find the book. The creation book. The blue book, how did man get here? By evolution or by creation? I loved that book as a kid. Foolishly, I also, thought that it was correct as a kid. I actually thought that the quotes that they put in it were accurate, and I thought the information they put in it was accurate, and I was shocked to discover it wasn't. I know a load of people who watch my videos. You're still sticking with me, thank you. A lot of you are still believers. I don't know, to be honest. I'd love to be a believer. I wouldn't need convincing, you know. If I could have a little bit of evidence, I wouldn't need much convincing to become a believer again. But I don't know. I'm not an aggressive atheist or anything like that. But one of the things that about the evolution book that's now dead, the creation book, it's now gone in the bins, getting pulped by the Jehovah's Witnesses, is it's just bad. It's so bad. If you're a Christian and you want to learn the counter arguments against atheism, they exist. They do. There's some really good ones. And what I would urge you to do is, if you go onto YouTube and you type Great God Debates, you will find fantastic arguments usually between Christopher Hitchens and the late great Christopher Hitchens, and an innumerable bunch of people, from imams and rabbis to Christian theologians to all kinds of people who argue the case either way. And these are the cutting edge minds of the argument. These are people who really pay attention. They are not these dewy-eyed morons in Brooklyn who rely on a book printed out by the millions and then keep it as long as possible until they're embarrassed by it and finally throw it in a skip. Anyway, what other books are we losing? It's so sad. The Revelation book. Can you imagine it? The Revelation book was so important to me. I studied I must have studied it 3 or even 4 times. And the first time, when this book came out, it was actually quite, for us Jehovah's Witnesses, we didn't get, I'm looking at these kids' books that my kids have now. Look at all the artwork that goes into these children's books, Fantastic stuff. As Jehovah's Witnesses, we didn't get that. I was very lucky because I had like an extra colour version of the My Book of Bible Stories, and I thought that I was laughing. I thought that was, whoa, look at this quality. We certainly work for the best printing company in the world, don't we? But then the Revelation came out, and it was like, glorious pictures, and it's very fancy. Very good. But you studied it, and then you were like, oh my God, this is so deep. It's so deep. And that's not good. And we discovered that we conflated the word deep with the word stupid. And you should not mix the two up. The Revelation book is not deep, it's stupid. And we studied this, and you could be guaranteed that every time you studied the Revelation book, they had changed the meaning of at least 3 different things. And you went frantically around the local elders in your hall going, which one's wrong now? What do I have to believe this time? Okay, quickly write this down on the margins. Oh, I'm missing it so much. No, not at all. I'm sure there's not a Jehovah's Witness who's missing that book. It was a pile of shite. Okay, what? I think that's a good obituary for it. It should get its own gravestone next to Charles Taze Russell's pyramid, and it should say, "Rest in peace, this pile of shite." Okay, what else are we losing? I'm shocked at this one. This one I don't hate. Don't hate this book one bit. The Reasoning from the Scriptures book. I can tell you that as a kid growing out door to door, I started pioneering when I was 16 and a half. And I didn't do it for too long, but I did do it. And I was an auxiliary pioneer, regular auxiliary. And I felt woefully underarmed. I didn't even feel qualified to go out on the service with some of these pioneers because they really knew their stuff, even if it was rubbish. And when I got the Reasoning from the Scriptures book, it felt like someone had given me a gun to put in my pocket. It felt like I was loaded for bear and I had this extra knowledge. And anybody asked me a question, I was just, hang on a second, let me check that. Ah, you see, this is what it says here. And now they're throwing it out. And somebody made a good point about this. And I don't know if it was Cedars, Lloyd, but I think it might have been. But anyway, somebody said when I was listening to it that it seems that what they're doing now is they don't even want witnesses to get into really big discussions. They don't want thinking from either their members or their new recruits. They just want to give the message. If the message is interesting, come and join us. If the message is not interesting, move along. Shake the dust off your feet according to the Bible. And that's one of the things they seem to do. And I was really surprised, to be honest, that they do this. But anyway, they've got rid of that book. It's very sad. It's a sad day. Because it was actually, although somebody pointed out that, I think it was definitely John Cedars, that if you go to page 220, it still had the apostate understanding of 1914 in it. So that's probably why it had to go, because it actually just told the lie of the nonsense cult that is Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay, I'm going to talk about one final book. There's a load of books in here. There's a couple of brochures of the divine name that will endure forever. That was never a very good brochure, to be honest. There's a couple more that are newer ones. And then there's some of these ones, Is There a Creator Who Cares About You? Which were the tiny little yucky books that started being printed just as I was leaving. But one of the books that they're getting rid of, Jehovah's Witnesses, Proclaimers of God's Kingdom. They're getting rid of it. Shocking. I remember when that one came out. Now, that was a big deal because they only had limited amounts that they could give out. And I remember a guy who I mentioned in a previous video. He died recently. He died last year. His name was Ronnie Harland. Now, Ronnie, I was friends with his sons. We grew up together. I sent them a nice message, but they never replied. Anyway, Ronnie was always a bit of an arsehole. But I remember Ronnie hiding in the toilets when they announced the book being published. So that as soon as the meeting was over in the assembly, he could go straight from the toilet door to queue up and get a copy for himself because they had so few copies, and he got a copy, and he was just the cat that got the cream. And my family, we were kind of more like, no, listen, not going to do that. It looks crummy. And I remember at the district assembly, there was actually a crush to get this book, Jehovah's Witnesses, Proclaimers of God's Kingdom. And we eventually got our copy, and I actually thought it was quite interesting. When I was younger, I was like 14 or 15, and I was reading it, I thought, that's an interesting history book about the Jehovah's Witnesses. We need one. We should have had one. And I was pleased to see it. It was only as I got older that I realized that what they'd done is actually very clever. Because the Jehovah's Witnesses, they combine cleverness with stupidity very well. And one of the things they'd done is they'd taken a lot of stuff, they'd taken it out of context, they'd hidden details, they had put events that were not in order in the book to make it incredibly hard for you to actually navigate your way around it in any way sensibly, simply so that it was very difficult for you to find their colossal embarrassments. And of course they ignored loads of embarrassments too. But even still, at least it was something to tell you about your history. And those who don't know their history are condemned to repeat it. That's what they say, don't they? So the Jehovah's Witnesses are now just throwing away all their past with these books. And is it sad? I don't think it's that sad. That's my phone ringing. But anyway, guys, R.I.P. all the Jehovah's Witness literature. You don't work for the biggest publishing company now, do you? You work for a very much retrenching organisation. And think about that. I hope you have a lovely day. Take care. Bye-bye.